Good evening. I'm Emily Cole, and I'm honored to be here tonight to present my dad, Kenneth, with the Humanitarian of the Year Award. For those of you I don't know, I've been working with my dad formally now for 3 years, but it does feel like I've been informally working for him for 35. My sisters and I grew up watching him tirelessly grow the business into what it is today, an iconic example of how a brand can be both purposeful and meaningful while also being cool. We had the enormous privilege of watching both of our parents strive every day to make their work impactful. Being immersed in a quest to create social impact and an understanding that what you stand for will always be much more important than what you stand in. These were common refrains at our dinner table and the extraordinary example that our parents led by. Looking around at the businesses and brands of today and the effects that social media has had on advocacy, it can be easy to take for granted that purpose and voice as part of your business model has always been common. But that's in large part only the case because of the path forged by Kenneth and the lives that both of my parents have modeled for the rest of us. Much of the Kenneth Cole social impact journey, which may have at its beginning seemed revolutionary or even quixotic, began in the 1980s during the AIDS-HIV crisis with what my dad often describes as an obvious decision to use the platform he had built for good. An issue that at the time was extremely polarizing and stigmatized, Kenneth fearlessly used the brand that he had spent his life building and its marketing platform to stand up and raise awareness for a cause that few were willing to go near. In 2005, launching the We All Have AIDS campaign, along with leaders like Nelson Mandela, Desmond Tutu, Elton John, and Elizabeth Taylor, they made the case that if one of us is infected, we are all affected. He risked his company to do what was right and to make social advocacy and having a voice a relevant and, dare I even say, necessary part of building a brand today. Kenneth spent decades speaking up for gay rights, marriage equality, and in partnership with my mother, Maria, they have both made enormous impact in the fight against homelessness and for gun safety, just to name a few. More recently, at the beginning of the COVID pandemic, along with my sisters Amanda and Katie, and at a time in his career when he could have just as easily dedicated more time to his golf game, and many would argue he probably should have, instead he dove headfirst into what they understood was quickly becoming the biggest mental health crisis of our lifetime. He refocused his seemingly endless amounts of energy, passion, and also resources into building the Mental Health Coalition, something he was uniquely suited and experienced to take on. Our dad, Kenneth, is a role model for so many of us, both personally and through the company. He has impacted the lives of millions. May we all strive to be lucky enough to live lives and careers a fraction as meaningful. I would like to present Kenneth Cole with his Humanitarian of the Year Award.
That was so sweet, only partially overstated, and so meaningful to me, and makes tonight even that much more meaningful. Emily is a very special woman, and I was thrilled years ago when she, 3 years ago when she agreed to join the business, and she spent, I think it was 8 years, addressing important human rights agendas as a lawyer, and she made significant impact in very important issues. She's brilliantly creative and has great style. She gets that from her mother. Her intelligence, her passion for fashion, as well as her commitment to social impact inspires me every day. Thank you, Emily. Congratulations to my fellow honorees. By the way, I should also say, Emily has to, the MR group was really accommodating, and we're so appreciative because Emily has to get back to work after this, which is why they agreed to move this presentation up earlier in the evening. Congratulations to my fellow honorees. I'm flattered to be with such esteemed company. Thank you, Lizette, Karen, and the whole staff at MR Magazine. It's been an invaluable resource for the menswear industry for decades. I thank MR for this recognition and also for their generous donation to the Kenneth Cole Foundation in support of crucial mental health efforts, which I'm going to talk about briefly. And most importantly, I thank my wife, Maria, and 3 exceptional daughters, Emily, who you just heard from, Amanda, who is also here tonight, and Katie, as well as their extraordinary partners, Matt and Ryan, who are also here with us. Amanda is a co-founder of the Mental Health Coalition and continues to serve on the board and helps guide the organization. For context, the Mental Health Coalition, my mental health journey began when I learned on the heels of the COVID pandemic that a quarter of the people, 1 in 4 people, lives are living or will be living with mental illness in their lifetime. However, I came to believe that it is probably closer to 4 out of 4, because if it isn't you, it is someone you love, a member of your family, community, or workplace. But what makes this a global health crisis of untold proportions is that 2/3 of the people living with a mental health condition never seek professional help and live in the proverbial shadows, largely because of the related stigma. Stigma, I believe, is a function of perception, and since I believe we are largely in the perception business, I felt there was a meaningful opportunity for us to help influence this conversation. We ambitiously set out to bring together the most passionate and influential mental health organizations in the country to join forces to confront this debilitating stigma surrounding mental illness. Hence, the Mental Health Coalition was born. Today, MHC is the largest mental health coalition in the country, and it's comprised of the nation's largest, most diverse, and influential mental health service providers, and is changing the way we all think about and care for our mental health. I feel fortunate to have been able to creatively marry our fashion business that I love with a social impact platform that addresses important issues that I care so much about. We are able to do so much of what we do because of the enthusiasm and support of our devoted team of associates. Many of them are here tonight. I've always believed that fashion can be a means to not just define how we present ourselves to the world, but also a vehicle to positively impact it. We all know there is a great degree of divisiveness in the world today, fueled by hateful rhetoric that incidentally helped fuel, I believe, the incident in Butler, Pennsylvania over the weekend. And although I may be naive, I do believe that fashion can help peacefully bridge the divide. For 40 years, we have tried to influence people's wardrobes as well as their communities, sometimes more effectively than others. In response to individuals and organizations that struggle justifying an allocation of resources to address what their stakeholders stand for versus what they stand in, I can assure them that as great as it has been over the years to be recognized for our shoes, this organization, its namesake, and its associates are elevated and transformed on nights like this when we are acknowledged for our soul. Thank you very much. Enjoy the evening.